Success is a journey.
Getting us up to the program was pretty awesome. I mean, it's almost like winning the lottery.
Every journey starts with a step.
You have to draw yourself a roadmap and identify all the steps necessary to get where you want to be.
Paso por paso, every step tells a story.
I think it's a story of a typical migrant farm working family.
Their dreams and their struggles.
Where is our next meal gonna come from? Where are we gonna live?
The trials and triumphs in their own words.
You can make it here if you try. That's the idea that gave hope to Jose Hernandez.
And from those who lived it too.
Oh my gosh, it was so many different emotions.
The son of migrant farm workers, an audacious young Chicano dreams big and shoots for the stars. This is La Escalera. Jose Hernandez.
I stand here as a candidate for Congress with a new mission.
Jose Hernandez is launching a career in politics.
To help make sure that mine is not the last generation that can claim their American dreams.
A former astronaut, he's already traveled farther than most Americans ever will. He's the embodiment of an American dream that's now come back to where it all began. This astronaut story is rooted deep in the soil of Mexico and the southwestern United States during the 1950s and 60s. As a teenager, Jose's father, Salvador Hernandez, first left Michoacán, Mexico to cross the desert and the U.S. border in search of a better life for his family.
I think it's a story of a typical migrant farm working family. My father, he came as a 15-year-old to the United States. First couple of times he came to this country illegally.
Pues sí, también para cambiar de vida, pues para hacer dinero, porque necesitábamos también para ayudar a mis padres. Pero sí, vinimos para Estados Unidos a buscar mejor porvenir.
Pues de vivir a pobre allá y pobre aquí, preferíamos vivir pobres aquí.
By the time he was 18, Salvador Hernandez had married and started a family while he traveled the migrant farm workers circuit. On August 7, 1962, in French Camp, California, he and his wife Julia welcomed the youngest of their 4 kids, Jose.
Well, I was born in the summer, so guess where I was born? And I was born in the U.S. I have a brother and a sister born in the winter, and they were born in Mexico. It's just a matter of luck of the draw, I guess. As we grew up, I remember quite well that routine, that California circuit is what I call it, that we used to follow.
We would come from Mexico like around March or so, go to like the LA area.
My dad would load us 4 kids in the back of the car, make that 2-day trip to California, and we would start following the harvest of the crops.
Then we would come up to Salinas, Modesto, you know, around that area, Stockton.
That whole process always repeated itself, and that was the life we lived.
All those miles and countless long days under the hot sun were all about chasing a meager wage. The kids shuttled between schools, did homework on the road, and pitched in to help the family.
We had to get up like at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you don't realize what's going on around you, the seriousness of where is our next meal gonna come from, where are we gonna live next. As a kid, you don't worry about those things. You just do what your parents tell you to do and go to school and work if you have to work.
As the Hernandez family worked the earth in California, other Americans were bound for orbit. By the early 1970s, NASA's Apollo program was launching what would be mankind's final missions to the moon. While the golden age of the U.S. space program was drawing to a close, the dreams of 9-year-old Jose were taking flight.
It was Apollo 17. It was back in 1972. The very last mission, they televised every moonwalk. And this was the very last one. In this case, it was the Gene Cernan, the moonwalk on Apollo 17. And of course, our TV was old and you had the snowy picture, and sometimes you had to hit it on the side to fix it. That was the fix for it. I would get up, I would go outside. It was dark, the moon was full, and I would see the moon out there. I would come back in, see the two astronauts walking on the moon, and I must have did that 3 or 4 times. And I said, that's what I wanted to be. I want to be an astronaut. I told my dad, hey, Dad, I want to be an astronaut. And, you know, and instead of him saying that I'm reaching too high or try to bring down my expectations, he actually sat me down and he said, so you want to be an astronaut? And I said, yes, sir. He says, well, you know what? I think you can do it. My eyes widened up when he said that. I said, really? And then he said, let me show you how. I'm gonna give you all the ingredients for a recipe where if you follow this, I think you can do it. You have to draw yourself a roadmap and identify all the steps necessary to get where you wanna be. Then you can't skip steps, because then you're not gonna be well prepared. Then he says, you gotta have the will to do it, to work hard for it. You gotta do it, not because your dad wants you to do it, not because your mom wants you to do it, because that's what you want. Finally, you have to get yourself an education. Because without an education, there's no way you're gonna reach your dream.
Of course, the first step towards that dream was in the classroom, where Jose was struggling in earnest to overcome the challenges of learning in a second language.
He was able to function. I remember when we sang the Star Spangled Banner, he would, you know, oh, say, can you see? Well, he didn't understand English, but to him it probably meant, oh, Jose, can you see? And he would just smile and that we were singing to him. A good student and well-liked.
Seeing the boy's promise, Jose's second grade teacher, Marlise Young, challenged his parents to give their son a more conventional path to a formal education.
Mrs. Young, she said, tell your parents I'm gonna go home today and visit them.
Sí, pues yo el que le dije fue a José, el mío, fue el que le dije yo, pues que qué había hecho, por qué iba a ir la profesora, que qué mal había hecho él.
My mom was a different reaction. You know, you tell her the teacher's coming, it's kind of like, you know, the Home Alone look, you know, typical Latina. You know, it's just, my God, the teacher's coming. We gotta clean the house, we gotta sweep, we gotta take out the plates that aren't broken so that we can give her good food on good plates. Gotta make fresh tortillas and do all those things that we need to do.
I said, if there's any way you could not go back to Mexico every season, it would really help the children, especially when they're bilingual, because they miss out on so much. They're already kind of behind a little. They're not, you know, on top. And if you leave and come back, it just puts them in deficit. You know, it's just harder for them.
I remember we were all sitting down very quietly, just intently listening to her speak, and us kind of knowing, oh my gosh, you know, she's telling us we should stay in one place, and, you know, is my dad gonna do this or not?
I remember my dad, you know, reflecting upon that, and he didn't let his orgullo or his pride get in the way.
Y pues sí, le agarré la palabra a ella, lo tomé muy a pecho yo y dije yo, a lo mejor estoy haciendo algo incorrecto y sí voy a mejor a no salir tanto ya para México y para que mis muchachos ya se enfoquen más al estudio.
We still went to Mexico that year, but instead of coming to the different places following the California circuit, we ended up making our home in Stockton, California, in the San Joaquin Valley.
Coming up, Jose and his family finally had a home, but now they faced new challenges.
Muy difícil.
It was a family sacrifice. There was a reason why we went place to place. That was to find work.